We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next 30 minutes. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses India's largest and first of its kind startup event, Startup Mahakumbh in New Delhi. Also visits Startup Mahakumbh exhibition at Bharat Mandapam. European Union and United Nations criticize Hong Kong's new national security bill. EU says it is concerned over its potential impact on rights and freedom of the people of Hong Kong. World Meteorological Organization report shows multiple global heat records were shattered last year, showing a planet on the brink. UN Chief Antonio Guterres says Earth's issuing a distress call. And on to the details now. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi attended the country's largest and first of its kind startup event called Startup Mahakumbh in New Delhi on Wednesday. The Startup Mahakumbh is a forum which brings together stakeholders from the world of startups, innovators and budding entrepreneurs. The event is designed to foster innovation and entrepreneurship. Prime Minister Modi said that India's startup ecosystem is flourishing at an unprecedented pace.
आज जब देश 2047 के विकसित भारत के रोड मैप पर काम कर रहा है, ऐसे समय मुझे लगता है कि ये स्टार्टअप महाकुंभ का बहुत महत्व है। बीते दशकों में हमने देखा है कि भारत ने कैसे आईटी और सॉफ्टवेयर सेक्टर में अपनी छाप छोड़ी है। अब हम भारत में इनोवेशन और स्टार्टअप कल्चर का ट्रेंड लगातार बढ़ता हुआ देख रहे हैं।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi also visited an exhibition at Startup Mahakumbh at Bharat Mandapam. The event designed to foster innovation and entrepreneurship across India witnessed an unparalleled level of participation from leading investors, innovators and aspiring entrepreneurs. The event has witnessed vibrant discussions on ways forward and networking between all the stakeholders. Well, SIDB, the pioneering institution in funding startups in India, manages a fund of funds at rupees 10,000 crore on behalf of the Government of India. This initiative has spurred approximately 75,000 crore rupees in startup funding across the country. DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya spoke to the General Manager of SIDB, Satyaprakash Singh.
India is one of the third largest startup ecosystem in the world, and SIDB is playing a key role in achieving that. In fact, making sure that not just third position, India achieves the #1 position in that. I have with me the Chief General Manager of SIDB, Mr. Satyaprakash Singh, to talk about this, sir. SIDB has been playing a pivotal role in startup ecosystem, taking the startups to a different level altogether. Give us your version, how exactly SIDB is helping them.
SIDB has been one of the pioneering institutions in promoting the startup ecosystem in the country, and the great initiative came in 2016 when Honorable Prime Minister announced the National Startup Program, and along with that, Government of India launched 10,000 crore fund of funds for startup. And SIDB has the honor to manage this 10,000 crore fund of funds. I'm happy to share with you this has brought a watershed moment in the startup ecosystem in the country. In 2016, when this fund was launched, there were hardly around 300 startups registered in India. And today it's great pleasure that around 1,15,000 startups are registered with DPIIT. This 10,000 crore fund has been fully committed to various alternative investment funds. They in turn have facilitated catalyzing approximately 75,000 crores of capital for the Indian startup ecosystem.
We are talking about third largest ecosystem. Do you believe that it won't be long that India achieves the number one numero uno status in that also?
I'm fully confident the next 3 to 4 years India will attain this first position in the world. The recent initiative which Government of India has announced, 1 lakh crore R&D fund and then a defense deep tech fund and a deep tech policy and a new deep tech fund which is going to be established. Put together, India is definitely going to lead the world in terms of promoting the startups and bringing the solutions to the age-old problems.
Much appreciated time. So that was the Chief General Manager of SIDBs saying that India is on course to become numero uno in the startup ecosystem and it won't be that long. With campus and Yogesh, this is Tapush Bhattacharya for DD India from Delhi.
Well, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar delivered India's national statement at the third Summit for Democracy under the theme Democracy for Future Generations. The summit is being held in Seoul in South Korea. Jaishankar said that under Indian Constitution, every citizen, regardless of his or her background, enjoy the equal voting rights and opportunities.
The Indian Constitution, a beacon of pluralism and inclusivity, stands as a testament to the confidence of the founding fathers to create a nation where every citizen, regardless of the background, enjoys equal rights and opportunities. The spirit of debate, discourse, and consensus building that pervaded our historical past continues to breathe life into our democratic institutions.
Well, Jaishankar also highlighted other key features of India's democracy. Jaishankar talked about the importance of women's participation in India's electoral process.
By reserving seats for women in local bodies, we today have 1.4 million women, or the largest cohort of elected women representatives at the grassroots level in any part of the world. Our recent decision to extend 33% reservation for women in both Parliament and state legislatures recognizes the fundamental principle that women's voices are indispensable in shaping the nation's destiny.
And now let's get you the latest on what's happening in India in the run-up to the world's largest democratic general elections. India's 44-day-long electoral process begins on Wednesday, with the Election Commission of India issuing the notification for the first phase of general elections on Wednesday. Voting for 102 Lok Sabha constituencies across 17 states and 4 union territories will take place on 19th of April. 39 seats in Tamil Nadu, 12 in Rajasthan, 8 in Uttar Pradesh and 6 in Madhya Pradesh will go to polls in the first phase. The last date for filing nominations is 27th of March. And as India gears up for a 7-phase election spread over 44 days, the second longest election in the history of Indian democracy, here's a look at India's history of elections that evolved over the years from using physical ballots to electronic voting machines.
After independence till 1952, India was run by an interim legislature known as the Indian Constituent Assembly. The Election Commission is an independent constitutional authority brought into force from November 26, 1949, whereas most of its other provisions were made effective from January 26, 1950, when the Constitution of India became effective. The first ever elections were held on the basis of universal adult franchise, which is associated with Article 326 of the Indian Constitution. It states that all citizens, regardless of their caste, education, religion, gender, color, race and economic conditions, are free to vote, and anyone over the age of 21 years old could cast their franchise. The voting age in India was reduced to 18 years by the 61st Constitutional Amendment in 1989. India has an interesting story from how its elections transitioned from voting via ballot paper to electronic voting machines and then to VVPATs, that is, voter verifiable paper audit trail. During the 1952 elections, a low level of literacy was a major challenge. There were over 173 million voters, most of them had no experience of voting. So, in the first elections in India, the symbols of respective candidates were affixed on ballot boxes to facilitate voters. No mark was made on the ballot paper to cast a vote. The ballot paper was simply put by the voter in a box carrying the symbol of the candidate of their choice. This helped preserve the secrecy of the vote as well as enabled voters to vote as per their choice.
The ballot paper was replaced for the first time with electronic voting machines in 1982 on an experimental basis for by-elections to Parur Assembly constituency in the South Indian state of Kerala.
The Representation of People Act 1951 was amended in 1989 to provide for the use of EVMs. General elections from the year 2004 have been conducted via EVMs only. Thus, technology became an integral part of the electoral process. In 2013, the Voter Verifiable Paper Audit Trail or VVPAT was introduced to enable a voter to verify that their vote has only gone to the candidate of their choice. A printer attached with the EVM in the voting compartment prints the name and symbol of the candidate for whom a voter has voted. This printed slip remains exposed for 7 seconds under a transparent window and gets cut automatically and falls into a drop box which remains sealed. A VVPAT was first used in Noksen, an assembly constituency of the northeast Indian state of Nagaland, in the September of 2013. As a pilot project in the year 2014, Indian general elections, 8 out of 543 parliamentary constituencies used the VVPAT system. During 2019 general elections, VVPATs were deployed in all polling stations of the country. Election Commission of India believes that the introduction of VVPAT has brought utmost transparency and credibility in the EVM-based voting system and conclusively put to rest all misinformed doubts and misgivings regarding these machines and the voting process. Antara Sinha for DD India.
Well, European Union and United Nations have expressed deep concern regarding Hong Kong's new national security bill, warning that it poses a threat to fundamental freedom. United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk, criticized the rushed legislative process and highlighted the bill's potential conflict in international human rights law. The European Union also raised concerns about the bill's possible impact on the rights and freedom of Hong Kong residents, as well as its potential repercussions on the operations of the EU's office and other organizations in the region. Well, early on Tuesday, Hong Kong lawmakers unanimously passed a new national security bill within a fortnight of being tabled, fast-tracking a major piece of legislation. The package, known as Article 23, punishes offences including treason, sabotage, sedition, the theft of state secrets, external interference and espionage, with sentences ranging from several years to life imprisonment. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Appeals Court puts controversial Texas immigration law back on hold in United States. Haiti is facing an ongoing wave of violence in its capital, with gangs targeting wealthy neighborhoods. Marked by absence of corruption and citizens promoting social support, health, freedom, generosity, Finland once again tops the World Happiness Report by United Nations.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts. We demystify complex social, political and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future, because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on, a Republican-backed Texas law that would allow state law enforcement authorities to arrest people suspected of illegally crossing the U.S.-Mexico border was blocked again by an appeals court on Wednesday, just hours after the U.S. Supreme Court had cleared the way for it to go into effect. A late-night ruling on Tuesday from the New Orleans-based 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals halted the enforcement of the law ahead of oral arguments on the issue scheduled for Wednesday. The legal back and forth in the case has caused uncertainty about the future of the controversial measure put in place by Republican Governor of Texas, Greg Abbott. Well, White House has said that the Texas law will show chaos and confusion at our southern border, while the Republicans call it clearly a positive development. In a statement, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said, I quote, SB 4 will not only make communities in Texas less safe, it will also burden law enforcement and show chaos and confusion at our southern border. Well, the Earth is sending a distress signal. That is how the Secretary General of the United Nations has summarized the latest UN climate report, which has revealed a number of weather records were broken last year. The report, launched by the UN's World Meteorological Organization, has revealed that the planet is on the cusp of breaching the Paris Climate Accord's key warming threshold of 1.5 degrees Celsius. From Berlin, DD India's Trent Murray reports for more.
This report by the WMO has confirmed that 2023 was the hottest year on record. It also said that the period from 2014 to 2023 reflected the hottest 10-year period on record. It's just one of several revelations which has led meteorologists who commissioned the report to sound the alarm on the warming of our planet. The scientists say that extreme weather last year wreaked havoc for millions of people and caused billions of dollars in economic losses. It also said key records on greenhouse gas emissions, sea ice loss and ocean temperatures were in many cases not just broken, but in their words, smashed. Launching the report, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said the time to act was now.
Earth is issuing a distress call. The latest State of the Global Climate Report shows a planet on the brink. Fossil fuel pollution is sending climate chaos off the charts. Sirens are blaring across all major indicators. Last year saw record heat, record sea levels, and record ocean surface temperatures. Glaciers likely lost more ice than ever before. Some records are just chart-topping, they are chart-busting, and changes are speeding up. Sea level rises are accelerating, threatening coastal communities. And last September, Antarctic sea ice was 1 million square kilometers smaller than the previous record low for the time of year.
The report shows that global average temperatures in 2023 stood at 1.45 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. Now that is just shy of the 1.5 degree threshold that was agreed in Paris. Scientists say that if the average rises above 1.5 degrees, well, the effects will be increasingly harmful for the people and the planet. The WMO says, though, there is one glimmer of hope, and that is renewable energy. Researchers say that new green power generation last year increased by nearly 50%, the highest it's ever seen in a single year. But experts say much more is needed to help hit decarbonisation targets. Trent Murray for DD India, Berlin.
Well, Haiti is facing an ongoing wave of violence in its capital, Port-au-Prince, with gangs targeting wealthy neighborhoods. Dozens of deaths have been reported, while parts of the city have suffered blackouts. DD India's Latin American correspondent, Barituna Mina, has more details.
Tensions remain high in Haiti amid increased attacks by gangs who are now set to control 80% of the capital. The situation continues to worsen despite the resignation of the country's Prime Minister Ariel Henry last week. The Caribbean nation is waiting for the formation of a transitional council that is expected to fill the political vacuum. However, the announcements have not calmed the violence, with heavily armed civilians causing chaos across the city. Over the past couple of days, gangs have concentrated their attacks on neighborhoods where they have looted buildings and killed residents. Pétionville is a wealthy suburb in the southeast of Port-au-Prince. It's been reported that at least 12 male bodies were left in the streets. The capital's electrical power grid was also attacked. In a statement, the utility company Electricity of Haiti said that 4 substations located in the metropolitan area of Port-au-Prince were vandalized. As a result, they are out of service. The surrounding areas were affected by a power shortage, one of them the entrance of the U.S. Embassy. The embassy only has limited operation and has reinforced its security. Meanwhile, Mexico is bracing for a new wave of Haitian migrants who are using its border to enter the United States. In recent years, due to the violence, thousands of Haitians have fled to the U.S. Marita Nimena in Caracas, reporting for DD India.
All right, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un guided a ground test of a solid fuel engine for a new type of intermediate-range hypersonic missile as part of a program of developing national defense capability, state-run broadcaster KRT reported on Wednesday. The KRT news reader said that the great success of the test allowed for the project to proceed under a timetable for completing the development of the new hypersonic intermediate-range ballistic missile. KRT added the test was conducted at the North's main Sohae satellite launch station near the west coast on Tuesday morning and afternoon. North Korea conducted a flight test of an intermediate-range hypersonic missile in January, which it said at the time used a new solid fuel engine and also tested the operation of a maneuverable warhead. Well, 5 states held their presidential nominating contest on Tuesday. Donald Trump won Tuesday's Republican presidential primary in Florida, a vote the former president was expected to carry easily after all his major challengers had dropped out. Trump's win in his adopted home state came as he also won Ohio and Illinois' Republican primary. President Joe Biden, meanwhile, won Ohio's Democratic primary at the same time. There was no contest for him to win in Florida as Democrats there cancelled primary and opted to award all 224 of their delegates to Biden. Trump and Biden are also expected to easily win primaries on Tuesday in Arizona and Kansas, banking more support after becoming their party's presumptive nominees last week. And Finland once again tops the World Happiness Report by United Nations with absence of corruption to determine a country's national happiness. Reports by UN claims the country is filled with citizens promoting social support, health, freedom and generosity. Finland is topping the list for a 7th year in a row, closely followed by Denmark and Iceland. According to the report, the happiness rate has drastically declined in the Middle East and North Africa. War on Afghanistan and Lebanon remain the 2 unhappiest countries in the survey. And latest from the Nepal gold smuggling case, discussion were held after the arrest of CPN Mao Center Vice President Krishna Bahadur Mohara. Nepal police had arrested Krishna Bahadur Mohara from Kapilavastu on Monday morning over his alleged involvement in the smuggling of 9 kilograms of gold disguised as e-cigarettes in December 2022. The Central Investigation Bureau of Nepal Police has begun investigation against Mohara on the charge of organized crime. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.